What's up everybody, Trinity here, and welcome back to the Second Street Marvel. The Dawn of X rolls on this week with 3 new issues being released. Today we are going to be talking about Excalibur issue number 11 as well as Cable issue number 3, and then we're going to get into Wolverine issue number 4. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk a little bit about these books, give a brief overview and my thoughts, and then I'm going to get into some more spoilery stuff towards the end of the video. So if you don't want any of those details, or you haven't got a chance to read these books yet, you'll have a chance to get out of here before I ruin anything for you, okay? So if this is your first time here and you like this video, consider subscribing, give this video a thumbs up if you like it, give it a thumbs down if you don't, it's okay, it's not gonna hurt my feelings. Now, getting right into here, let's go ahead and talk about Excalibur issue number 11. This book is being written by Tini Howard. It's got art by Marcus Toe with colors by Eric Arciniega and lettered by VC's Ariana Mayer. The cover art is done by Mohammed Esrar and Matthew Wilson, and the design is done by Tom Muller. Jonathan Hickman is the head of X. Now, one thing I'm going to say right off of the top here, guys, all of these books here in the Dawn of X series, some are good, some aren't so good, and that's all preference. Some of them I like, some of them I don't like. Excalibur is definitely one of the series that I like the least out of all of these Dawn of X books. I would say it's pretty low. It's pretty low on the totem pole. But I've got to say one thing about it is, as bad as as much as I don't like some of the writing and the things going on in this book, it's just not for me. I gotta say the art in it is actually pretty good. It's pretty consistent throughout the whole series. Marcus Toe, Eric Arciniega doing a very good job with this series. Now some of it I do have some nitpicks, but altogether I gotta say the art team on this book throughout the whole series has been actually pretty decent, done a pretty good job, especially with the consistency of everything going on in the book. Now in this book we see that after the events of the last series, Shogo is hurt and he's being held there and he's being looked after by these priestesses of Lady Saturnyne? I'm pretty sure I got that right. And we also see that Jubilee is being held captive and being kept away from Shogo by a branch of these priestesses. Now, what we see also is we see the team of Excalibur come to Otherworld to save her, to save Jubilee and set her free, and they kind of have some issues there with just some of those things going on there as they are there talking with these people, these disciples, these priestesses of Opal, Luna, Saturn. And the thing here is they kind of describe them a little bit. There's the priestesses of the white and the priestesses of the green. Now the funny thing is, priestesses. Am I saying that right? I don't know. Anyway, they have the white and the green, and really ultimately what it boils down to here is it's almost like like you've got the Jedi and the Sith. It's kind of what it comes down to, or maybe it's just like the Jedi and then like the gray Jedi. I don't know. I won't pretend to know much about that, but it's kind of like that. It's kind of like that where they kind of follow the same stuff, but they have different views on how it. Yeah, you get it. But so we see that they're kind of talking with them about some of those things, what's going on with Jubilee and what's going on with Shogo. And then we also see the biggest thing that happens in this book is Richter is there and he starts communicating once again with Apocalypse. And this is something that we've seen towards the very beginning of the series when Apocalypse first went and talked to Richter and everything like that as well. Just some interesting things going on here. But what he gets into this story about the past. Just about this not being like his first coven, and him revealing this story about the externals is what this team is being called. It's just kind of revealing some things going on here. Very interesting stuff with this story. Altogether, I've got to say I'm not really big on Excalibur. I don't really like the series that much. The writing in it, but I feel like the story really has something to offer here. I feel like it's got something good going on here, some cool stuff going on. It's just I don't feel we got the right writer writing it. But that's just if you ask me. Like I said, I think the art team does pretty good here. Other than that, the writing does kind of suffer as far as maybe like the world building and what it's putting out there. But I do like what it's adding into the story, which Jonathan Hickman is kind of overseeing all of this stuff. But let me know all your thoughts on Excalibur if you're reading it and what your thoughts are on this issue down in the comments below. And we'll go ahead and get here into the next issue. Okay, and the next one we're going to be talking about here is Cable issue number 3. This book is being written by Jerry Dugan. It's got art by Phil Noto, and VC's Joe Sabino is the letterer, and Tom Muller on design. Javier Rodriguez and Alvaro Lopez and Tom Muller are the variant cover artists. Phil Noto is the regular cover artist as well. Now this one I've got to say, like, Cable, this series so far, 3 issues in, it's not the best, it's not the worst, you know, it's kind of, I mean, it's not one of my favorites, but I gotta say, altogether, like, the Phil Noto art is what gets me. Sometimes he's kind of like Rod Reese. Rod Rice? I hear some people say Rice, I think it's Reese, I don't know. But anyway, they have a very similar style with their art where it kind of looks like this watercolory kind of, I don't know. It kind of looks like that, but my real big main gripe about them is the way they do the noses. They always make them a little pink. They make them stand out a little too much. And I think, honestly, I think the other guy's a little worse about it than Phil Noto is, Rod Reese is. But anyway, all beside the point here. It seems like we get quite a bit going on here in this series as we get a little bit of that future story with Cable. Remember, we've seen Old Man Cable here through all of these books so far. We get a little bit of that, and we also flash back to where we see Cable and Esme together. Esme together after they had gotten taken by these like intergalactic gladiators. They're like robots and stuff, and we see kind of what's going on there, and what they're talking about is these robots, essentially these cyborgs, they were tracking down the Light of Galador. The Light of Galador is that sword that we've seen that Cable has been carrying around, and they're wondering how he's able to summon it, how he's able to wield it, and all of these kinds of things. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to figure out what they're going to do at this point, now that they found out that their civilization has pretty much died. That's, pretty much what we get a lot of in this issue is them dealing with some of that stuff. We also get to see Cable go off, and he gets in a little bit of mingling with the king of Staten Island, Deadpool. What? Yeah. A little bit of that too going on here. I don't want to give away too much. We'll get into some of that here towards the end, and then also a little bit more following up on what happened in the last issue with that missing baby mutant. Altogether, I thought Cable issue number 3, it was a pretty decent read, not too bad, nothing too exciting, but there is definitely adding on to what's going on here. Probably going into the Ten of Swords and some of that stuff with what's going on here. So I don't know, very interesting stuff, but let me know what you think about Cable issue number 3 down in the comments below. I thought it was pretty good. I've been reading it. It's not the best. It's not the worst. It's I would say it's probably still lower in my Dawn of X books. Now the next one we're going to talk about here is Wolverine issue number 4, and guys, this one is probably the best one to come out this week out of the Dawn of X. I gotta tell you, I thought this one was pretty good. Now, this one actually goes back to one of the stories that we've seen building off of issue number 1 of Wolverine. Remember, we had 2 different stories in there. The first one was the one the last issue tied into, and then this one ties into that second story that we got both of them written by Benjamin Percy. Victor Bogdanovic is the artist here. Matthew Wilson is the color artist. VC's Corey Petit is the letterer. Tom Muller on design. Adam Kubert and Frank Martin are the cover artists. Patrick Gleason and Maury Hollowell are the variant cover artists. Of course, Jonathan Hickman, the head of X. Now, this one, for me, is kind of the same thing when it comes to the art here. Victor Bogdanovic here does, I like his art. At times, it really works for me. Like, I see some of these books, some of these panels, and I'm like, ooh, yes, this is what I want. I want to see more of this. And then, of course, there are some of these other panels that I see, and I'm like, what the hell is that? Come on, man. I don't know, but it's not very often. I mean, I think overall the art is very good, and it's matching the story that goes on here in this particular book with this story with the vampires and things like that, because that's what this story that we got Benjamin Percy and Bogdanovic working on here together with the vampires. We see a little bit of what happened in last issue tying into this issue as well. And then basically what happens is we learn that Wolverine, Logan, has his own gate that takes him to this place deep far in Canada, and he has this gate hidden in Krakoa somewhere deep in the mountains. And then so he's been going to this bar there in Canada just to go there and get away from Krakoa, get away from it all, and get some drinking done. And he goes to this place called the Red Tavern, and he kind of gets into a little tussle with some people. And there's a lot of things going on here that I think tie, a lot of things once again tying in here through this series. I've got to say, Wolverine issue number 4, another good book. Like I said, the Bogdanovic art sometimes does it for me, sometimes it doesn't. Overall, it's good, not bad at all. But I want to know from you what you thought about Wolverine issue number 4. If you've read it, if you have any theories or anything getting ready to come out of that book. Altogether, I gotta say, I enjoyed Wolverine issue number 4. I enjoyed Cable issue number 3. Cable could have a little bit more to it. It's a little bit more potatoes than it is meat. And then, Excalibur, it's just, I just feel like it's the writing here. The story going on, what it's adding could really be some great stuff if we just had somebody that was hitting some more higher notes throughout the series. That's just if you ask me. But let me know all of your thoughts about all of these books down in the comments below. Theories, thoughts, anything like that. And now let's go ahead and get into a little bit of spoiler talk for these books. And we're going to start off here with Excalibur issue number 11. Now here in Excalibur, they talked about the Priestesses of Opal, Luna, Saturn. They kind of broke some of that stuff on down, and just kind of the difference between them here. And we can see that there's basically like a couple of different sects of people who are part of the same belief system. And I think this is something that really plays into what's been going on here throughout all of these Dawn of X books anyway, especially, with the types of societies and things that are going on out there. Very interesting what's going on here with Shogo as he was injured, and, once he crosses through the gates there, he kind of, he'll become a baby again once he goes back to Earth, and they're kind of worried about that as he was wounded in the last issue, and they don't want to take him across the gates, and he ends up dying when they take him across. Now, the other interesting stuff here is when we get to Apocalypse talking to Richter. I don't really know who all of these characters are throughout this whole sequence, but they're kind of describing some of these things going on here. We see like Selene here. We see they're talking about Kendra. I don't really know these characters that well. I mean, obviously Selene I know a little bit better than Kendra, but I won't pretend to know much about that. But some very interesting things is Apocalypse is there talking about this coven, these externals, and how they're playing and what their mission was to kind of do. And very interesting stuff because, again, it does come down to those types of societies, if you ask me. At the very end of the book, there's a little epilogue there towards the end, and we see that Gambit and Rogue are walking through the Priestesses' quarters, and they go into her little closet. If they decide to steal some items from there, it's very interesting what they decide to take, because we see Gambit taking a deck of cards that has that's all wrapped up and everything, and I feel like there's something going on here with that. And then also we see that he ends up taking this jewel, and this jewel we know is actually the same thing that Apocalypse was talking about towards the when he was talking to Richter. So just some very interesting things going on there with that, to see how this all is kind of playing out here, and especially the way the otherworld plays into what happens in the otherworld and regular world, and how they kind of affect each other. If you have any other thoughts or anything about Excalibur, let me know down in the comments. I won't. This isn't one of my favorite books, so I'm not looking too far into this one. But getting here into Cable issue number 3, I think there was definitely some interesting things going on here. As we see at the very beginning, we see Cable there, Kid Cable killing his older self, and Esme there sitting there kind of or Esme sitting there and interrupts his memories here. But then we got these three cyborgs there, if you will. They're talking, communicating with each other about the Light of Galador, and what they're looking to do, pretty much what we find out, is that they are going to take this sword and basically drive it into the ground on Earth, and they want to take and make Earth their new home. and it would slowly transform the Earth into a just a place where their people could live at. Cable goes up and offers a solution. They kind of get into a little tussle and everything. But the interesting thing here, I mean, Cable's going to help solve their problems with time travel, but it's interesting once again how we get another type of society in here with these cyborgs who their society had basically been killed out. Or had it been killed out? Because it makes me wonder, with everything going on here, with all of these different types of societies, if it got absorbed into a higher by was it appropriated by a technarch and then absorbed by the phalanx or anything like that because they were highly technologically advanced? I don't know. Just some big questions going on here for me, if you ask me. And then obviously we seen there where they went to Staten Island and they were talking to Deadpool, wanted to get his robotic arm. So I won't confess to know a whole lot about some of that stuff, but just some interesting things that I've seen going on throughout this issue. And a whole lot seemed to happen in this issue, because even here at the back of this issue, towards the very end, we see that's when we run into that couple who was living next door to the mutants there was in the Philadelphia area where Cable had been investigating in the last issue. And we see that they are basically there going to become part of the Order of X. And then the man that we see there at the very end, who, after they are basically inducting themselves and giving this baby up to the Order of X, it's very interesting that they're all cutting an X into their heads, but he's there. He don't have an X cut into his head, but he has an X, just like the X is that is we see, basically in all these Dawn of X books. Now, getting into Wolverine issue number 4 starts off with that very funny kind of moment at the very beginning where we see Magneto and Wolverine kind of getting into it there in the Quiet Council of Krakoa. Just interesting stuff there. I don't know. I didn't, that scene was kind of whatever for me. But then we learn about this hidden gate that Wolverine has planted there on Krakoa that allows him to go to Canada, and he got this little tavern, this little bar he likes to go to and drink. So that's where he just kind of goes to get away from it all and have some drinks. And he steps into this bar and gets in this fight with the stranger, and we see the stranger there has this tattoo on his arm. Somebody he's ran across before. He ends up headbutting him, and the guy ends up leaving. And then we see that Wolverine had obviously been poisoned or whatever, so he goes to the restroom, and this is where it kind of gets interesting, because he gets there into the restroom and he sees this person once again, the man that he got in a fight with there in the bar, that is there in the bathroom. He is now dead. He's covered in blood. He recognizes this tattoo that he has from the Brotherhood militia that he ran into in Oregon some years ago. So next thing you know, basically it looks like he killed this human, and that's where the guys, the sheriff comes into the bar, tranks him, and they end up they've got him all tied up there in chains and everything. And this is where it gets a little bit deeper, where they're trying to tell the sheriff to take a hike earlier. He just wouldn't leave, so the sheriff kind of gets in a little bit deeper than he had wanted. Now, basically what's going on here is all these people are kind of survivors of abuse of Wolverine. This part of this mutant trauma support group, which I find is very interesting, because I think that this all kind of ties back to something that we've seen back in the New Mutants series with that website Docs, where they were doxing the mutants and everything like that. So I'm sure this all kind of ties into that, just this kind of online community of people who are don't like mutants and kind of want to get rid of the mutants. And we see that they are there getting ready to go and not kill Wolverine necessarily. They're just gonna bury him there in the ice and just let him die by cutting a hole in the ice and just letting him go freeze to death there in the oceans and then never be found. He basically gets exiled almost exactly like Sabretooth did, but I guess almost like the human version here, right? Until he gets thawed out like Captain America. But the interesting thing here, I don't really hear a lot of people talking about, is that Wolverine basically got set up here by Omega Red, because we know Omega Red was sitting there. Obviously, he's the one who killed the animal, and we seen him here at the end of the book where he was getting there in a fight with Wolverine. Now, the interesting thing is because he has that that thing that kind of that keeps him from having to have human blood that he got from the vampires, because he's now working for the vampires. Now, the interesting thing here is that we see he actually goes to kill this human. He goes and kills this man there at the bar and basically blames Wolverine for it. Wolverine is his ass is going to be on the line for this. So, at some point, with his memory being hazy and everything, it's going to come down to the Quiet Council going to maybe exile or have some sort of judgment against Wolverine because they now think that he kills a human. Even if they go back and look through his memories, they kind of see that he don't really see or have any of those things, right? I don't know, just some interesting things being set up there. And then obviously towards the end, we see where Omega Red kind of steps in and doesn't let Logan, I guess, float away and drown in the ice, but he decides to go ahead and, you know, he's got him there and he's obviously drinking his blood, but we also see all the vampires and everything arriving at the same time. Now, let's not forget that Logan's blood has been known in the past to have regenerative effects for other people as well, so they could be drinking his blood, and the vampires essentially could be becoming young again and just healing and things like that, kind of, you know, just like Wolverine does because of his blood. But now I'm sure there's plenty of other things that I missed. If you know anything that I missed, anything, any other theories or something that I got wrong, let me know down in the comments below, because let me tell you, I learn a lot from you guys every single time I do one of these videos here on all of these Dawn of X series. Always somebody out there that knows so much more about this, and you guys help me learn and, you know, give me more books to go out there and look up and read and everything. It's really great. I love connecting with all of you guys and the comments that you guys leave down there in the comment section. Just really good stuff. You guys provide a lot of value for me as a content creator to go back and look some of these things up and, you know, just to look a little bit more into a lot of this stuff. Now, one other thing before I get out of here, I want to let you guys know about soon here on the channel. I'm going to be doing a new series called Cracking Krakoa, Deciphering the Dawn of X. And what I'm going to be doing is going back and looking at the House of X and Powers of X and kind of breaking on down some of those things that we learned throughout that series and how they are playing into what we are learning in all of these books as they have been coming out. And I'm going to be going through even the Dawn of X series and kind of going through that series, and we'll break all that down and see how it all plays together. Like I was mentioning in the video today about the types of societies and some of that stuff. Very interesting stuff going on here. I have theories about how I think this is all going to finish and play out towards the end of this Jonathan Hickman run and everything. But hey, it's very interesting, even with my theories and how I, you know, maybe I think I know what's going on. It's interesting the journey that we're on till we get there. That's all I have for this video today, folks. Thank you all so much for tuning in to the Second Street Marvel. If you're not already, please make sure you subscribe, click the little bell and all that good stuff. Give this video a thumbs up if you like it, give it a thumbs down if you don't. It's okay, it doesn't hurt my feelings. But while you're at it, make sure that you share it with a friend and invite them to come hang out with us here on the Second Street Marvel. And if you would like to take your support of the channel just a little bit further, you can always check the join button down next to the subscribe button, or even click the link down in the description of this video and learn a little bit more about the benefits of becoming a channel member. You all have a very good day. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you in the next video. Later.